So I'm back with my Resident Evil kick, and while I didn't play 4, I have played 4 several times, and since I was going chronologically, I figured I've never done a review on 4, now's about time than any. And, I'll say this, it's certainly better than Revelations, but it is not the greatest survival horror video game of all time like so many game companies claimed it was. I'm going to get into it right now. Okay, so first things first, this was actually my first Resident Evil video game. It really was. I was all excited to get it. I got it for PC back when I was doing only PC gaming. I thought, great, Resident Evil 4, well, I should be able to follow it. You know, theoretically. If not, I'm still going to get a great game. Download it, install it on my computer. And, it's a problem that nowhere in the box it said, or, I didn't get any warning on, the mouse doesn't work. You know the mouse? The mouse is this thing that connects to your computer. And that's how you control your computer with. And typically, a PC gamer uses this to play the games. But someone at Capcom thought, they don't. PC gamers don't need to use their controller to play this game. Yeah, we'll just make it with the keyboard. Someone else at Capcom probably thought, oh, is that actually going to play better? Press response, no, it's actually going to play much worse. Yeah. Well, like how worse? Oh, it'll be virtually unplayable. Should we really be doing that? Oh, don't worry, we'll just make everyone buy a controller for the PC. Like a gamepad controller. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's what we're going to have to force everyone to do. It'll sell a lot of controllers. Why don't we just give it mouse support? Because we want to be ass. We want to be ass. Yeah. Yeah, this is probably the worst port I've ever seen in any video game. Is the PC port for Resident Evil 4. I've heard testimonies online of people trying to play the game with just the keyboard. I think all those people are in mental institutions now. It drives you to insanity. I did not try that. I bought a gamepad that hooks into the computer, and now in all honesty, it did teach me how to use a gamepad so that when I did eventually switch to consoles, I wasn't like just painfully bad at it, because trust me, if you're a PC gamer and you're at a friend's house and you just jump on a controller for like a game system, you suck. I mean, I did that a few times. I completely sucked at the games, and they just kind of look at me like, I thought you played games. Like, yeah, on PC where I have a mouse. I don't know any of this thumbstick stuff. So, PC version Resident Evil 4 is the worst. Absolute worst. Okay, I mean, and it's just a copy of the PlayStation 2 version. So, there's no benefit over those two. It might load some stuff a little bit better than the PS2 version, but that's it. PC version's not the best version to get. Hell, I got rid of my PC version. Alright? You want to go for the Wii, or probably the PS4 or the Xbox One version. This thing's almost on every console, and plus those rumors of a remake coming, which I hope that's true, because there's a lot of problems this game needs fixing. Okay? So, first off, And I went over this problem with previous Resident Evil games, more in my Resident Evil 2 review about my love-hate relationship with the controls of the series. I like a lot about the series. I can't stand the controls. Alright? Even when it went from the first generation, which I've never been able to play just one of those games, when it went to the second generation, the controls were still terrible. And you can't walk while aiming a weapon. Okay. Now I know that takes all the horror out of the game for some people. Okay. I like to call these people idiots, but, you know, I'm probably just being an ass. And I've known to be like that. Because, I mean, there's a lot of games out there you can walk while aiming, and it's still a pretty scary game. I mean, I'm having trouble thinking of one or even two right now. But I digress. And it even affects the story. Why would the President of the United States send one person looking for his kidnapped daughter, and that person he chose is incapable of aiming a gun while walking? Sounds to me like that person's kind of an idiot. But I moved on. Can't aim while walking. Completely frozen stiff when aiming a gun. Takes a couple hours to get used to that. Just the story alone, though, is kind of laughably bad. Now, I've actually played this game 3 times. I have. Because there are great things about this game. To this day, I really can't tell you why the President of the United States' daughter was kidnapped. Now, I understand there's some diehard fans who will probably say in the comics, this guy's an idiot, he played it 3 times, he can't remember why. Well, it's kind of a laughably bad reason why, okay? Mild spoiler warning, but it kind of seemed to me like the main bad guy's plan in this game would have went off without a hitch if they had just bothered to not kidnap the President of the United States' daughter. I mean, probably would have worked. I mean, I've been looking at the story, and it's just like, you know, you didn't need her for this, you didn't need her for that. It just kind of felt like a poor excuse to get Leon Kennedy back in the fray. Kind of felt like lousy writing to me, in my opinion. Yeah. Now, the writing's not as bad as, like, let's say, the writing in Revelations, but it's pretty close. Pretty close. Yeah. And, like, they even introduce a villain that's supposed to be like, you! I thought you were dead! And I'm just kind of thinking, like, did we ever get this character introduced in a previous game? And, like, the only other game I could think of that this character was in was a Wii game that was an offshoot. That was an offshoot of, like, Resident Evil 2. That was the only one that this character was in. Okay. Seems a little odd to do that, but yeah, you know. Now, in terms of the game, the first level is amazing. Okay, it has multiple options you can do. It's gorgeous. It's undeniably atmospheric. And it kind of falls off after that. I mean, yes, many levels have plenty of atmosphere. They do a good job with what they had to work with. But there's a couple of areas, if I have to be honest, they don't leave a whole lot to entice me with. There was one thing, though. There was one area that was just as atmospheric as the first area. I'm going to get to that in a little bit, because that's kind of in the segment of things I really enjoyed. But in terms of the graphics, the PC is not that much better than the PlayStation 2. I mean, the GameCube, that kind of was the benchmark in terms of the best looking version of this game until the Wii version came out, until the PlayStation 3 and the 360 version came out. But something worth knowing about this game is that the replay value is incredibly high on this. I mean, my first time playing the campaign initially was, I think, like 35 hours. It was much shorter the second time because I wasn't looking around as much. I wasn't kind of getting lost as much. And then the third time it was even faster. And I actually started playing this on the hardest difficulty mode. And it was amazing at first because, one, the developers, they decided that the enemies didn't have to be bullet sponges for the game to be harder. You know? That form of logic. They actually made a harder mode where, yes, you're weaker, but the enemies are still just as weak as they were in the normal mode. I love hard modes like that. I really do. It feels like I'm challenged. It feels like anytime I get hit, it was my fault. It's not because I'm just emptying magazine after magazine into a bad guy, and then he just raises his gun once and shoots me once and I'm dead, you know? And people think that that's amazing hard modes. Yeah. People reveal that type of hard mode. I just feel like it's crappy designing on developers' part. But so I was really enjoying this game's hard mode. Until I got to the first QuickTime sequence. Yeah, they unfortunately made the foolish decision of deciding, hey, we should make this where you need to do it as fast as humanly possible. How fast, you say? Faster than the speed of light. Can a human's fingers move that fast? No, they cannot, but we're going to make them try. After the 100th time of failing it because I couldn't hit the button fast enough, I just took up the game. You were on a good roll of having an amazing hard mode, but you had to ruin it with the QuickTime event. So, if you successfully beat a QuickTime event in the hardest mode on this game, I salute you. I really do, and I apologize for your broken fingers, because it's probably the only way you could have done it. Yeah. But this leads me to one of my biggest issues, and one of my biggest issues is there's things you can unlock. There are these really cool exclusive weapons you can unlock, but what's needed to unlock them is not worth your time. There's at least 3 weapons that you can unlock by doing specific things, but they take too long. So, case in point, the Chicago Typewriter, which is a Tommy gun, basically. In order to unlock that, you must first beat the campaign on normal. First. Completely. All the way through. Okay. Then after that, you have to complete the Ada Wong DLC campaign, which is around 6 hours. To completely complete that. All the way. Okay. Then after that, you have to complete the Assignment Ada. It's kind of a time trial thing where you start off with all the ammo you're going to get in the entire mission. You have to complete that fully. Not easy to do when you don't get any new ammo. So, after doing all that, you're not done. You then, through a new playthrough, have to raise 1 million pesos to get the Chicago typewriter Tommy gun. No problem. Heads up, you don't get to 1 million pesos until 4/6 into the game. So basically, you've played most of the campaign a second time by the time you can afford it. Way too many hoops to jump through just to unlock that one gun. Most of the stuff in this game is like that. Way too much effort needed. I would have thought just completing the game once would have been enough. Completing the game plus the DLC would have been enough. No. So, speaking of weapons, though, probably my biggest gripe with this game is the fact that 94% of every weapon you get in this game is a pistol. Let me repeat that. 94% of every weapon you get and obtain and unlock in this game is a pistol. Forget an assault rifle, okay? You're not getting one of those. Closest you're getting is the Chicago typewriter. That's it. And I already went over how hard of a nuisance game that was. How the closest thing to a machine gun you get in this game is a pistol. You can add stock to it, but it's still a pistol. You know, one of your shotguns is a pistol. Little pistol. I guess the developer on this game had a fondness for pistols, I guess. I mean, it's just baffling. Pistol, 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 pistol. Should have been called Resident Evil 4 Master of Pistols, something like that. Just doesn't make that much sense. But the guns do have some depth to them in this game. More so than Revelations, where they were an afterthought. Now, there are some pretty cool enemies in this game. Like, there are these two, royal guards that followed Salazar around, and you had to fight both of them down the road. Those were actually kind of cool enemies. But the main antagonists were pretty annoying / cringy, unbearable. You know, like Salazar himself, the midget, Victorian dressed, high voice. I don't even know what he was trying to do in this game. All I know is that I was so glad I didn't have to listen to this idiot anymore. I mean, there's just all these enemies, and they're not well developed. Probably the most developed one was Krauser. But even then, it's like, oh, he was in a previous game? No, he wasn't. We're just saying he's from the past. But there's no emotional impact if we're just referencing the past and no one was there when it happened. Yeah, but we think it'll have emotional impact. Okay. Now, credit what's credit's due. I have never found this series scary at all. Alright? Not with the first one, not with the second one, not with the third one, not with the fifth or sixth one, which is why I find it kind of funny that so many people got upset with the series after 4 because they said it got too action and wasn't scary anymore. I'm going to let you in a little secret. this series was never scary. Ever. Period. Ever. It was never scary. If you got scared by the first game back in 90, whatever it came out, or the second game, or the third game, or Code Veronica, don't bother trying to play some more contemporary scary games, because I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to last them. Alright? These games are not scary. Resident Evil 4 is not scary. With the exception of one scene. And to this day, it baffles me why Capcom has never done this again. Because not only is the best scene of the entire game, it's one of the best moments of the entire series. And that's the scene in the second most atmospheric location in this game. It's in this old, kind of abandoned medical facility. Above ground, typically Resident Evil fashion, they're all underground. No, this is like an old medical facility, above ground, on an island, and you come across the Regenerators. Right? Now, these villains are truly unsettling. They are creepy as hell. And they are quite effective with how you have to take them out. No spoilers, but truly, I was creeped out during this entire sequence. It's the only time in the game they make an appearance. Nay, it is the only time in the entire series that the Regenerators ever make an appearance, which is a crime unto itself, because this was the only time I was ever truly creeped out or had a chill go up my spine, was when I saw these enemies. And I'm not even getting started on the Iron Maidens, okay? They're in the same sequence with the Regenerators. They're kind of an evolved form of a Regenerator. Those things were nightmare fuel, okay? And for some insane reason, Capcom has never utilized these enemies since. Why? They're the scariest enemies you have ever had. They actually have an interesting combat design to them, where you can't just fill them up with ammo. I mean, this was quite possibly the scariest moment in the entire series, and they have never used them since. It's mind-boggling to me, because during that area, the game was amazing. True perfection. Never done since. So, you're probably thinking, I should pass on Resident Evil 4, shouldn't I? No, there's a lot of fun to be had. Despite the fact that it's nothing but pistols, yes, there is a lot of fun to be had with those pistols. There's some great moments. There's not too many puzzles, which I liked. Resident Evil 5, I'm sorry, there's too many puzzles in that game, I have to admit. Resident Evil 4, healthy amount of puzzles. Not too much, not too little, decently long game, plenty to do. If you get anything after the PS2 version, you'll get all the bonus content. The Wii version actually has an aim mode. You can use the remote, so you can actually aim with the Wii remote. There's a PS3 version, an Xbox 360 version. There's a PS4 and an Xbox One version. I don't know if there's a Switch version. And there's reports that they're working on a remake. Now, if they improve the graphics with the remake and they actually put in a decent control system, I might actually really love this game, especially the Regenerator level. But overall, this is a mixed bag. Not the worst Resident Evil game I've ever played, but not nearly close to the best one I've ever played either. Well, that's my review of Resident Evil 4. My name's Chris, and I think That's all.